It's Monday, November 24th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A small store cleans up after would-be crooks attempt a big ATM withdrawal. Lobster crews head to sea with dreams of big catches and bigger paydays.
And we'll be off to a cold start Tuesday. Temperatures come up a bit for Wednesday, but that is accompanied by rain moving in.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. New charges have been laid in the ongoing investigation of a double homicide of a Dieppe couple 6 years ago. CTV's Derek Haggett with the latest.
Police have charged a woman and 4 men with conspiracy to commit murder in connection with the double homicide of Bernard and Rosemarie Saunier. Those charges were laid here at Moncton Provincial Court this morning. 78-year-old Bernard Saunier and his 74-year-old wife, Rosemarie Saunier, were found dead in their Dieppe home on September 9th, 2019.
It's not over when the first charge is laid. It's over when the case is solved. And in this case, we knew that there was more to be done. And although it's taken this long, we will never stop until all avenues are properly investigated.
Jansen Brian Baker of Moncton was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in this case in 2023. Monique Alicia Boyer, Jesse Todd Logue, Nicholas Daniel Bain, and Christopher Allen Lennon are the other 4 accused of conspiracy to commit murder. Police say they were able to determine all 5 had conspired to kill Silvio Saunier, the son of Bernard and Rosemarie. Silvio Saunier died in January 2023. Police say foul play was not suspected. The case was handled by the RCMP's Major Crime Unit,
which has some of the best professional, talented people that we have in the province. And so these are investigations that obviously involve a lot of people.
In February of this year, Jansen Baker was sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting a teacher outside Riverview High School in 2021. Baker will go on trial for 2 counts of first-degree murder in January. All 5 of the accused who are charged with conspiracy to commit murder will make a court appearance 1 week from today. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
A Cape Breton man has been charged with second-degree murder in a woman's death. Police responded to a call of a woman in medical distress at a house in Hillside Boulangerie Sunday. She died of her injuries in hospital. 40-year-old Sloan McDonald of Sydney Mines was arrested at the scene. Police say McDonald knew the victim but haven't released any other information, including her name. A person has died following a fire in Sydney Mines over the weekend. The fire happened at an apartment complex on Main Street Saturday night. The body of a person was found among the remains of the building. The medical examiner will conduct an autopsy to confirm the identity. The cause of the fire remains under investigation, but it is considered suspicious tonight. They were cleaning up at a store in one small community after a would-be crooks smashed through the front of the place trying to steal the ATM. CTV's Josh Smith reports.
A brazen overnight break-in here in Port Elgin has left many shaken and fed up. The entrance to this neat store here behind me was found in pieces when customers arrived early this morning. Crews spent their morning sweeping up glass after someone smashed their way through Port Elgin's only store. An ATM was left in the middle of the store on its side, and employees were turning customers away as they cleaned up. Local school bus driver Joni Fagan saw the damage early this morning.
We meet here around 6 o'clock in the morning and we go for our coffee, but the whole front of the building was smashed in. So there was glass and beer bottles and there was a little bit of everything everywhere.
CTV reached out to the store's owner and its parent company, Sobeys, but they declined to comment. This location is also an NB Liquor Agency store and a busy rest stop for people traveling to and from PEI. And residents say the steady flow of traffic can make break-ins like this feel even more unsettling.
This has become a booming spot. It's probably one of the busiest spots around. So we've got people from everywhere. So you just don't know who to trust, who not to.
CTV reached out to the RCMP for an update on the investigation, but they did not get back to us before news time. The people I spoke with today say that this break-in adds to the growing concern of crime in this area and that they hope to get answers soon. Josh Smith, CTV News, Port Elgin, New Brunswick.
Many of our neighbors, friends, and family members took to the seas before dawn this morning to set traps for the winter lobster fishery. As CTV's Jonathan McGinnis reports, the most lucrative season is also the most dangerous.
Hours before the official start of the season in lobster fishing areas 33 and 34, crews were ready and the boats were running. Then they were off at 5 a.m. in the area around Yarmouth and 7 a.m. along the south shore from Shelburne to Cow Bay.
It's just a big rush. Everybody wants to get to the same spot, so you just try not to bump into anybody and hope for the best.
As the boats head out to sea, hundreds watch from the shoreline, hoping for calm waters. All under the watchful eye of the Canadian Coast Guard, who sprung into action to tow one boat back to the wharf on Cape Sable Island.
So I just pray to God every day that everybody will be safe and make a prosperous season, and yeah, so hopefully they come back at the end of the day.
Traps are in the water, so we're good to go.
More than 1,400 boats are involved in the lobster industry in the two areas. Jamie Osborne's new vessel, the Grand Finale 2, was one of them. He's been fishing for 50 years. He says increased operating costs is making it hard to pay the bills, especially when he doesn't know what he's going to be paid for his catch.
I mean, you're selling your product and you don't know what you're getting for it. You know, they could come down at the end of the week and say we're giving you $5, and a lot of guys wouldn't be happy because they wouldn't sell them if they knew it.
Osborne says he'd be happy with $10 a pound. Last year, the lobster fishing industry in Southwest Nova hauled in a total catch worth $540 million. LFAs 33 and 34 stretch from Digby around to Eastern Passage. Traps set in those areas this morning can be hauled starting at midnight tonight. Jonathan McGinnis, CTV News, Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia.
There's a live look at one of those home ports right now, Yarmouth, where it is currently 4 degrees and the waters look calm. We bring in Kaylin Mitchell. We certainly wish everybody a good fishing season with fair winds and strong catches, Kaylin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't see any weather warnings in effect for those marine areas, so that's always a good sign. Here's a quick outlook into some of the offshore winds. So again, this is in knots because we're talking about nautical conditions here. And you can see that the winds are expected to come down a little bit as we make our way after midnight. This is just at a point near LaHave Bank area. And then after that, for tomorrow, they pick back up again in the afternoon. That's when we could start to see at least some gusts getting back over the 20 knot mark. And then they come down a little bit and then are on the way up again on Wednesday. Taking a look at the actual weather conditions out there over the waters, there's some cloud cover left. There may be some showers underneath that cloud cover. For on-land areas in the Maritimes for tonight, though, we're expecting to see some partial clearing as a little ridge of high pressure builds in from the west. As the sky clears up a little bit, though, the temperatures are going to be getting colder. Still, these type of conditions are a little bit more favorable for some night sky viewing here in the region. It's not going to be perfectly clear tonight. There are going to be some areas of patchy cloud around, including up around the northwest of New Brunswick, maybe at times Prince Edward Island, northern eastern areas of Nova Scotia. But if you take your chances, here's a couple things you can see in that night sky. It is a waxing crescent moon, 17% illuminated. That'll be setting on the southwestern horizon around 7 p.m. Planet Jupiter in the constellation Gemini will be rising above the eastern horizon 9 p.m. onward. The aurora is unlikely to be observed tonight in the Maritimes. There will be a very quick pass from the International Space Station at 6:45 p.m. 2 minutes from the northwest towards the north and pretty low in the sky. So not one of the best or nicest passes from the International Space Station to try and see, Todd.
Okay, thanks, Kaylin. We'll see you later for the full forecast. Busy Halifax Street was closed this morning after a garbage truck struck a person in a crosswalk. Safety advocates are calling for better protection for pedestrians, as we hear from CTV's Vanessa Wright.
Halifax police say a 34-year-old woman was in a marked crosswalk when she was hit by a garbage truck at 5:30 this morning.
Upon arrival, our officers located the female, who was being tended to by fire services. A 34-year-old woman was transported to the hospital with what were believed to be life-threatening injuries.
The city says the garbage truck involved was not owned or operated by them. It comes after a close call on Thursday where a pedestrian was nearly hit by a municipal vehicle in the city's south end.
As part of the road safety strategy, staff have been working toward implementing a number of improvements to protect all road users, including pedestrians. Those include traffic signal upgrades with leading pedestrian intervals. Those are when pedestrians are able to start crossing the road before the light turns green for traffic going in the same direction.
So far this year in Halifax, there have been 159 collisions involving a pedestrian, 17 of which left a pedestrian with serious injuries, and 4 resulted in pedestrian fatality.
It's difficult to understand why. It's a combination of all kinds of things, in our opinion. It's inattentive drivers, it's speeding drivers, it's pedestrians. Just saw one who didn't activate the RFB light here behind me. You know, everybody just needs to be more attentive and more focused.
He says collisions tend to spike this time of year, especially with the holiday rush.
Every situation is different. It can be an honest mistake. We all make mistakes, but, you know, certainly being less distracted, being off your cell phone as a pedestrian, not just walking across, but as you're walking across a crosswalk, you know, have your head on a swivel.
Police didn't provide details on how this morning's collision occurred, just that the investigation is ongoing. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
From barriers to blueprints is the theme of a first-of-its-kind National Housing Summit in Halifax. Changes are being called for taxation, immigration, and building codes. CTV's Callum Smith was there.
Everything that's going into the building code is making housing more expensive.
The Canadian Home Builders Association says putting a pause on building code changes, similar to what Australia did, would help stabilize the sector.
Are the houses better? To a degree, yes, but how much better do they need to be under the current circumstances when we also have a housing affordability crisis?
Given that, he says a second look is warranted.
This conversation is very much about building the playbooks and the roadmaps so that the federal government has partners that it can go to, get shovels in the ground this year, and we can start to see some real momentum in 2026.
Ottawa has yet to follow through on its promise to cut the GST for first-time home buyers, only a starting point that builders want to see addressed, along with targeted immigration less focused on the points system.
We're going to hit a plateau somewhere. We have to hit a plateau somewhere, and if it's not for the bank of mom and dad, then the banks have to figure out a way to get the first-time home buyers or you know, into a home.
To do that, more work is needed to get people from rentals to homes.
In 2021, we had about 70% of our housing starts that were destined to be owned, be they low-rise or high-rise. In 2025, that's down to 50%.
Nowadays, it seems like apartment living is becoming long-term more than being able to afford to buy a home. Used to be able to move into an apartment, save some money, buy a home. That was what that transition was for. It's not like that anymore.
So while people are the ones who suffer, the onus is being put on policymakers to step up and address the crisis.
It's complex. So all the things we talk about, be it building code, immigration, the GST, development taxes, there's no silver bullet to all of this. We have to do all of the things. All levels of government have a role to play.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Just after 6:30, we'll be joined by the CEO of Canada's Home Builders, who you saw there in Callum's piece. There's more reporting on this at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Finding childcare is challenging for working parents. A new center open in St. John is helping alleviate that pressure, one that welcomes children from all backgrounds. CTV's Avery McRae explains.
Kiwi, do you like kiwis? Yeah.
In just a few short weeks, this daycare has become Olga Olshvitseva's 3-year-old daughter's favorite place.
The weekend is the worst time for her because she doesn't go to daycare, she doesn't come here, and she's talking about daycare all the time.
Daycare by Design is the Port City's newest childcare hub. It has space for 60 children ranging from as young as 15 months to 5 years old.
We saw a lot of people coming in, not only Canadians, but the immigrants as well. are deeply in need of daycare.
There are children enrolled from St. John, Ukraine, the Philippines, and even Nigeria, officials say. Staff also come from various backgrounds, a sign of the city's growing diversity, says Mayor Donna Reardon.
A real nice learning experience for children as well, because oftentimes, if you're in more homogeneous neighborhoods, your kids don't get to see that variety that's out there.
But the list for those needing childcare remains long. The wait to get into this facility is 120 children long, which is why the province is spending $500,000 to help the program continue to grow.
There's around 9,000 people on the wait list, or kids on the wait list for childcare spaces in St. John alone. And we know just how important it is to make sure that we can continue to build the infrastructure that allows spaces like this to happen.
Daycare by Design has already applied for additional space within the church it resides in to help lessen the demand. Ava McRae, CTV News, St. John.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
You may remember just over a week ago, New Brunswick Health Minister Dr. John Dornan spent 24 hours at the emergency room waiting area at the Moncton Hospital. Well, the idea came from a man who did the same thing, not by choice, and wants to see change. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
Peter Phillips says it was a severe pain in his lower abdomen that landed him at the Moncton Hospital's ER in October. It was 7:30 in the evening. At 8:30 the next morning, he got a CT scan. It was appendicitis.
But appendicitis is a terrible pain. So if you're sitting in the ER overnight with appendicitis, it's not very fun.
2 weeks later, Phillips says he had more pain at the surgical site. So he returned to the ER.
I went at 2 in the afternoon, and I sat there until 2 in the afternoon the next day.
The unfortunate circumstance sparked an idea. Invite the health minister and premier to spend 24 hours in the ER waiting room, just as Phillips had done, to both experience what it's like and perhaps see the need to add another ER doctor overnight.
Even though you're in pain yourself, you can't help but see the misery around you. People holding their head in pain, people with blood coming through, towels wrapped around their arms, people rocking back and forth in pain.
The invite went out November 5th. Minister John Dornan quickly accepted. But Phillips says he wasn't given a date as to when it would happen. He then received a surprise email from Dornan on November 15th, confirming the minister had just completed the wait. Phillips says he was hoping there would be more of a debrief on what the minister took away from the experience.
I don't know that it advanced sort of the issue any. I mean, he kind of said the right words, and but I don't think we changed his mind.
Dornan didn't publicly reveal he had completed the challenge until reporters asked him about it on November 18th.
And it was a difficult experience. It gave me insight. Not complete, but insight in what people go through.
The minister did say he walked away with more empathy for people who do experience that wait.
We need to do better.
Phillips has since started a healthcare advocacy group called MB Broken Healthcare. He feels no one should have to wait 24 hours for care. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Time for our first break on this Monday evening. Still to come, the full maritime forecast. But first, all some want for Christmas is a place to park.
People avoid coming to the area because parking's so bad.
The craziness of holiday shopping is compounded by trying to find a downtown parking spot. We'll talk about that next. People living, working, and shopping in downtown Halifax are becoming increasingly frustrated at what they feel is a move to leave them out. Emma Convey explains.
So bad.
Stephanie Nickerson lives in the area and walks whenever possible. She feels for businesses as walking isn't an option for everyone.
It's great that we have construction, but I think it's really naive to think that we don't need parking spaces. People realistically can't. Not everyone can take a bike. Not everyone can take a bus.
According to the city, there are just over 2,000 paid parking spots on the street across Halifax and Dartmouth. The Spring Garden Business Association says their biggest struggle is finding spaces for delivery trucks to park.
On certain days, it's impossible for trucks to be lined up, so then we'll get a lot of illegal parking. You know, the bike lane has really hemmed in Brunswick Street, and it's been a learning curve for everyone involved. This team has made parking a focus, creating an online platform to help those driving around find somewhere to park. We have over 9 parkades here, starting at we'll start with the Halifax Public Library at $2 an hour. We're standing out in front of the Doyle. This is $2.50 an hour. Most of the lots here are $2 to $2.50 an hour. The city tells CTV News they try to add temporary parking whenever construction projects are underway.
There's a reason I don't drive. I've never driven in Halifax. It's just insane.
There is none. All they want is bicycles. I'm sorry. I work on Brunswick. There is no parking.
In a statement, the city says, unfortunately, options are often limited because most viable spaces are already in use for on-street parking.
It's really hard to find spots, and if you do, it seems like everywhere you used to be able to park for free, you now have to pay.
The city says almost 26,000 fewer parking tickets were issued this year over the same period in 2024. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
All right, your ears did not deceive you. There was an issue with the audio on the start of that report. If you want to see that, it will be uploaded, of course, to our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. All right, time for a break. On the other side, we will talk about a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Kaylin has the details in the full forecast. Stay with us. There is a very quiet main strip in Antigonish where it's 1 degree, still in positive territory. Kaylin, those dreaded words, polar vortex. I've heard once again. Now, anybody who watched CTV National a little earlier saw your explanation of what polar vortex is, but maybe we can extend it a bit and talk about the possible impact for us.
Well, let's pick it up where I left off on the early national. So a quick recap, the polar vortex is a semi-permanent, a very cold air that circulates around the pole. And every once in a while, that circulation becomes distorted, it weakens, and it breaks down in a wave of particularly cold air into southern parts, more southern parts of the country. And that's what looks like it's going to happen at the end of this week for areas in northern Manitoba, northern Ontario, northern areas, Quebec, and Nunavut as well, of course. And it's going to drive some communities' low temperatures down to the -20s, daytime high temperatures below -10, right? So we're not going to feel the direct impacts of this right at first here in the Maritimes. It does get chilly this weekend, right? We're going to have some chilly temperatures, but hey, we're heading into the start of December at that point in time. The bulk of that colder air is really going to be pooled up again through northern areas of Quebec and northern areas of Ontario. But because it's present there and is expected to kind of linger through that part of the country into and through next week, if we do tap into it with a west or northwest wind, it could start to bring it in. And there are signs, and this is again next week, that by around Tuesday, Wednesday, the northern areas of New Brunswick will start to feel the edge of that colder air. And then maybe by Thursday, it could be felt a little bit more widespread in the Maritimes. Now, again, this is looking at next week's forecast. We could see we could see changes between now and then, but it's something to keep tabs on. And in case you do start hearing more about the polar vortex, just when it comes to like national weather over the next few to several days, that's one of the reasons why it is going to be talked about. Let's take a look at what's going on about weather conditions across the country currently. See 6 degrees and rain right now at Vancouver. A little bit of a chill in the air through parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Saskatoon sitting at -4. You can see that very deep cold hasn't quite reached Thompson, Manitoba. They're currently sitting at -4. They'll be much, much colder by the end of this week. Thunder Bay currently sitting at 9 degrees. Moving into southern Quebec. Montreal right now sitting at 2 degrees, 0 at Quebec City. Fredericton now down to -1. Halifax at 0 and Charlottetown sitting at +2. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, a little bit in the way of some partial clearing through the first part of tonight, as we do have a ridge of high pressure building in from the west. Won't be a perfectly clear night. There will be some patchy cloud cover around. But where it is a little bit more on the clear side into the start of the day for tomorrow, like many of the nights as of late, expect that there will be some frost that develops. Now in the forecast for Tuesday, it'll be increasing cloudiness from the west throughout the day. Cloud cover will continue to increase for Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. Temperatures turn a little bit milder on Wednesday, but that's because our next rainy weather system moves in. And that rain looks like it'll be steadiest for areas of Nova Scotia, southern New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Maybe some rainfall amounts between 10 and 25 millimeters. It may initially start as a mixture of snow and rain from northern areas of New Brunswick. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow, they're going to be out of the west. They're going to be sustained in a lot of cases 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. Some of the gusts getting up between 20 and 40 for parts of Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. Low temperatures tonight in the Maritimes, in a lot of cases falling a few to several degrees below the freezing mark. So obviously we're going to be after a cold start to the day on Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, though, we'll see the temperatures recover a little bit. Seasonably chilly, 4 to 6 degrees in the north of New Brunswick. Central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures between 5 and 8 degrees. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures between 4 and 6 degrees. And in the east of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, high temperatures right around the mid-single digits. 6 to 8 degrees for both the eastern shore and north shore of mainland Nova Scotia. Cumberland, Colchester, Hants counties tomorrow. Halifax County, Lunenburg County, a lot of high temperatures, 6 to 8 degrees. The valley, though, could see some highs close to 9 and some high temperatures on the south shore and in the southwest of Nova Scotia between 7 and 9. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook, so there's the rain for New Brunswick. Again, some wet snow at first in northern parts of the province, certainly possible. Chance of showers follows for Thursday. There's the temperatures getting chillier at the end of this week and the upcoming weekend, which mostly looks like a mix of sun and cloud. Chance of showers on Monday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, we have rain expected on Wednesday, followed by a chance of showers on Thursday and Friday. Temperatures get a little bit colder for the weekend ahead, a mix of sun and cloud both Saturday and Sunday, followed by cloudy periods on Monday. And for Prince Edward Island, rain on Wednesday, followed by a chance of showers on both Thursday and Friday. Temperatures cooling through both of those days, but get chillier for the weekend, which features a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday and Sunday. Cloudier conditions expected on Monday of next week. Todd.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to talk about building homes, and Katie is back on the scene.
Hey, yo, what's up, Halifax? It's Jacoby from Papa Roach. That's right, and I can't wait to see you guys live on stage in December. Stay tuned, and we'll tell you all about it.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, another chance to win a $250 gift card to St. Louis Bar and Grill at 7:30.
And tune in for your shot of 2 tickets to Neptune Theater. Good luck.
Canada's home builders are meeting in Halifax. There's plenty to talk about, from a federal building plan to tariffs and costs. Kevin Lee is CEO of the Canadian Home Builders Association. He joins us from Halifax. Kevin Lee, good to see you. Look, as I mentioned, there's lots to talk about. There's also some mixed messages, it would seem, in the economy. Interest rates are down, but sales are also down in big Canadian cities. What's the sentiment among your colleagues, builders in the room there right now?
Yeah, well, it's really different sentiment all across the country. Overall, things are down, especially, as you mentioned, with the trade war alive and well, unfortunately, with our friends south of the border. But, you know, in certain provinces, things are really, really bad. I'll say Ontario is in really tough times. About 64% of our members there are laying people off right now. BC is not too far behind. Here in Atlantic Canada, not quite so bad. It's been better times, but there's definitely more we can do. We're certainly a long way away from being able to double housing starts, so lots more to be done from a government policy perspective.
It seems like a bit of a head scratcher, right? Because we hear so much about the need for skilled workers and just how many more people we need in the system to build the houses that Canada's in desperate need of, and then at the same time you're talking about layoffs in some parts of the country.
Absolutely, and it is, you know, it's actually pretty simple, and people don't think of it this way very often, but we can't build them if people can't buy them. And so there's a lot of things that have been working against affordability, especially, you know, in market rate housing and home ownership. There's been a lot of support in recent times for purpose-built rental, and right here in Halifax, we've seen a big takeoff in purpose-built rental, and we do need more rental. But when it comes to housing that people can afford to own, that's been a big challenge, from construction costs to taxation rising. And yeah, we do have labor shortages, which you'd be hearing about a lot more if we had more construction activity. But when people can't afford to buy homes or in this environment are very potentially nervous about buying homes because of consumer confidence with respect to the trade war, we're just not seeing enough activity, and it's really challenging in some places.
Is the right type of housing being built? here in some cities in the Maritimes, we're seeing high rises. There's a desire for townhomes and single-family dwellings. Are the new starts meeting the demand?
I guess it depends on how you look at it, because if you ask most Canadians, they aspire to live in some sort of ground-oriented housing, for the most part. There's certainly people who prefer to live in a high-rise. But in general, Canadians look to ground-oriented housing. Now, it's not a case of young people going, wow, I want that single detached home in some urban center. That's obviously more challenging these days just because of the cost of everything that we've been talking about. But definitely Canadians tend to look towards, an entry-level home that's going to be more ground-oriented. It could be a town, it could be stacked towns, maybe a semi-detached if you're lucky. If you get further away from town, you might get that small single-detached home. But that's where Canadians are really looking, and that's the problem. We're seeing a lot less and less of that with housing affordability being such a challenge. We're seeing much more purpose-built rental. Just to give you a stat, in 2021, about 70% of the houses that we were building in Canada, be them high-rise, mid-rise, or low-rise, were destined for ownership. Now in 2025, it's only 50% of starts. And so we really do need to find ways to get more housing that people can afford to buy back into place. And again, government policy can go a long way to help that.
Kevin, I think when people think of costs that are associated with building, we go to the obvious places, right? The cost of staffing, the cost of materials. What about things like, I don't know, permits and building codes? How does that add to costs, and is that having an impact?
It definitely is. I mean, you're right. Like, construction costs are up. Like, to give you a sense, nationally, on average, a 2,400 square foot home since pre-COVID compared to now is up about $100,000. So that's a lot of money. But there are other things that are really affecting the cost of housing. We got to go to taxation first right away, because why do we have so much tax on housing? And again, the federal government is looking at removing GST for first-time buyers. It still hasn't come through. That has to get through the House of Commons. That'll be important. But that's only going to, they estimate that's only going to support about 5.8% of new construction. So most of new construction is from people downsizing to smaller homes, people moving from their starter home to a more family-sized home. So we're really pushing for more to be done on the GST, be expanded to all buyers. The other huge part that's been rising to the tune of 700% over the past 25 years is development charges. And we need to get those under control. We need to get those scaling back. In our larger cities, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here in Halifax, it's still climbing, and we need to find alternative ways to fund new infrastructure and not put it on the backs of the buyers of new homes, because frankly, it's not something that used to happen in the past. And if we want to be more fair to the next generation of Canadians, we need to find better ways to deal with taxation and spread it across the whole tax base and not expect the new buyer to have to do it, because frankly, most of us who live in existing homes didn't have to do it in the past.
Yeah. Before I let you go, let me make sure I got that right. 700%?
That is correct. It's a big number, and you see it in the price of housing, so it needs to come down.
I think, gave us a lot to think about here this afternoon. Kevin Lee, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
You bet. Thanks for having me anytime.
We will take a break. We'll be back with much more of your Monday evening newscast. Okay, we're going to look at health headlines now, and we're all being asked to check the refrigerator. There's a Canadian recall of a brand of drinkable yogurt. CTV's Amanda Debison has that and more in tonight's edition of The Life.
Yoplait Canada has proactively issued a recall that's now being led by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency.
The company says in a statement the recall came after the discovery of a defect in a packaging component that could cause plastic to possibly enter into their drinkable yogurts. The recall covers all flavors of the company's 200 milliliter Yop drinkable yogurt, with best before dates ranging from October 21st, 2025 to January 12th, 2026. In a post on its website, Yoplait says the health and well-being of Canadians is its top priority. They've been touted as a cure for anxiety and sleepless nights, but the science behind weighted blankets may not be as solid as the claims. Filled with glass beads or plastic pellets, they use deep pressure stimulation to mimic a comforting hug. Research suggests that the blankets may be beneficial for people with diagnosed mental health conditions. But for those without, many of the studies lack quality data and offer little proof that sleeping under a weighted blanket can help someone who is casually anxious, though it may be somewhat beneficial for shift workers and power nappers. Finally, having good oral health is more important than you may realize. Without it, germs from your teeth, gums, and mouth can spread to the rest of the body.
The mouth is the gateway to both the respiratory system and to the digestive system, and it can have implications far beyond just your teeth.
Pediatric dentist Dr. Elise Sarvis says inflammation caused by poor oral health not only leads to things like gum disease and cavities, that inflammation can spread and lead to an infection in the heart, cardiovascular disease, pregnancy and birth complications, even pneumonia. Experts say the best way to keep your mouth healthy is to brush your teeth twice a day with a toothpaste that contains fluoride and floss at least once a day. Plus, see a dentist at least twice a year. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
We're on the scene, and look who's back.
Hello.
Hi, Katie Kelly. Nice to see you.
You too.
After 25 years at the top of modern rock, Papa Roach, who had a single, by the way, called Lifeline.
Very fitting.
2009. They're still filling arenas, and they're still using their voice for something bigger than music.
That's correct, Todd. With a new chart-topping single, a massive Canadian tour on the way, they say this next era might be their most meaningful yet.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Papa Roach is celebrating a quarter-century since Infest exploded on the rock scene, an album that turned a group of California kids into global headliners.
Honestly, this has been the goal since the very beginning, you know, of the dream that I had when I was a teenager, you know, playing air guitar in my front yard while my neighbors were laughing at me. I'm just going, I'm going to be a rock star. I'm going to do this.
And the momentum hasn't slowed with their new music.
Even if it kills me up in Canada, it was like 10 weeks at #1, which blows my mind. That was like the longest, that's the longest we've ever had a #1 in our career. And so that was pretty cool.
The band has also become one of rock's strongest voices for mental health.
Since the beginning of our career, our first single, Last Resort, it was a cry for help, you know, and how do we respond to that cry for help? Well, here we are years later being of service to our community, to our fellow men and women, and we understand the darkness.
Their latest collaboration, Leave a Light On with Carrie Underwood, is still climbing charts a year after its release. On this tour, they're donating $1 from every ticket to CAMH and to 988, the suicide crisis line.
If anybody out there is listening right now, if you're in crisis and you have nowhere to turn, just pick up the phone, 988. There's somebody on the other end of the line that's gonna listen to you, gonna talk with you, gonna point you in the directions of services that will be helpful to you.
As the tour kicks off, the band says Canadian fans, especially Maritimers, have a reputation for showing up loud and proud.
I thoroughly enjoy touring Canada. You guys are awesome people, friendly people, great people, and the rock audiences go off. And the farther east we get, the crazier the crowds get. You know what I mean? So by the time we make it to Halifax, people go, it's going to be off the chain.
The Rise of the Roach Tour hits the Halifax Scotiabank Centre on December 10th with special guests The Used and Sleep Theory.
It's the biggest Papa Roach show we've brought on tour in our career, and it spans the last 25 years of our music. We're celebrating our first album Infest and kind of digging deep in the bag there and having some fun with it. And then we're taking you on the journey through the last 25 years, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, rip, roaring, banging, fun, good old time.
And who doesn't like a rip roar?
Right?
Right? Okay.
It's going to be banging.
Bit more nostalgia.
Yes, yes. This is also awesome. If you like Papa Roach, you're probably going to like this group. The Goo Goo Dolls are coming back to Atlantic Canada. That's what I call high school right there, Todd. The band just announced a run of Canadian dates for spring 2026, including 2 stops in our region, April 10th at the Scotiabank Centre in Halifax and April 11th at the Avenir Centre in Moncton. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10.
Yeah, it might have been your high school. Mine tracks are a little deeper than that. Thank you very much. We lost Jimmy Cliff today, the reggae legend as well. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow night. Here's what's on CTV this evening. On the markets, the Dow began the trading week up 200 points, and stocks continued to rally after a sell-off last week. B&M Bloomberg's Andrew Bell has the details.
Hello there. Canadian and U.S. stocks rose today after wavering last week on a fresh rally in giant technology and artificial intelligence plays. Shares in Alphabet, parent of Google, hit a new record high. The company's Gemini 3 AI model is getting good reviews, and it's seen as a threat to arch-rival OpenAI. On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at 70.9 US cents, down a fraction. West Texas Intermediate oil traded at $58.96 US a barrel, up 90 cents. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $45.34, down 86 cents. And the TSX Composite ended the day at 30,604.35, up just over 443 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. There's Kaylin on the weather deck.
Yeah, it's chilly and damp out here, just as a heads up, mostly for Nova Scotia, because there was some light rain and some light snow today. If there are any wet surfaces around, remember that a lot of temperatures tonight are going to be headed below the freezing mark, so watch out for the possibility of maybe some icy spots developing. Our viewer picture for tonight is coming in from very early this morning and features the boats going out in the Eastern Passage near Halifax in Nova Scotia. It's from Bruce Nelson. I want to thank Bruce very much for taking the time to share that picture for us. Eastern Passage area for tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud, cold start to the day, but the afternoon high temperature near 7 degrees. Day planner, very early in the morning, temperatures around the Maritimes, probably a few to several degrees below freezing in most cases. Should be a fairly clear start to the day, though maybe a little bit of broken cloud cover around northern and central areas of New Brunswick. As we head into and through Tuesday afternoon, the Maritimes becomes a mix of sun and cloud, with cloud cover increasing from the west of the region, and high temperatures will be in the range of 4 to 9 degrees. Winds will be out of the west for tomorrow, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. The few gusts between 20 and 40. Now, I wonder what's coming up on Your Morning Atlantic.
Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic, perfect preserves.
Holiday Haul Week continues with a visit from the PEI Preserve Company. From cookies to jams, they'll help you create your own gift box this season.
Start your morning with us Tuesday on CTV2.
And tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, there's good news and bad in the waters off our coast. Some fish stocks are recovering while others continue to flounder. We'll find out why tomorrow in your newscast. And finally for us tonight, a gold pocket watch recovered from a man who died on the Titanic, sold at auction over the weekend for $3.2 million. That's the highest price ever for a piece of Titanic memorabilia. The watch was recovered from the body of Isidore Strauss, who went down with the ship alongside his wife of 41 years, Ida. Now, they had refused to separate. It was played out in a couple films. Isidore Strauss was a partner in New York's Macy's department store. The 18-karat Jules Jurgensen watch, engraved and given to Strauss for his 43rd birthday, was recovered from his body after the ship sank. The watch remained in the Strauss family for more than a century before the weekend's auction. And that is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco will be in this chair after CTV National News with our late update. And CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has updates, the forecast, of course, the poll. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you right back here for your local news at 6 tomorrow. Until then, have a good day.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.